Well, I did release a statement the very next day after I read that headline, which completely contradicted what they'd said, but that never got the headlines. Of course, once the damage is done, everybody perceives you for what they've seen, on the front page. Then, it was a matter of me just learning the hard way.
As the conflict came closer to home, to Europe, Yusuf Islam became heavily involved in humanitarian relief for the Bosnian Muslim population, victims of the war.
I got a call from one of the heads of the organization saying, "Do something." I said, "Well, I'm doing something." He said, "No, use your voice." And at that time, I began to hear some of the songs which were coming out of this incredibly unique European Muslim community. And it kind of kindled in me this awakening of the position of music in relation to the heart. That when we're really down, we've got to have something to help us up.
Yusuf oversaw the release of a charity album for the Bosnian cause and was persuaded to contribute one track himself. But he remained insistent that the song feature no music aside from approved traditional Islamic drums.
Oh, they've killed all the little ones while their faces still smiled. With their guns and the fury, they erased their young lives. No longer to laugh, no longer to be a child. Oh, they've killed all the little ones while their faces still smiled. Now they're burying the little ones and they're making their graves deep, so the world cannot see that tonight we may sleep.
Yusuf Islam, once known as the singer Cat Stevens, has been refused entry to the United States. He's apparently regarded as a threat to US national security. Really? On what evidence? Isn't he on record repeatedly as condemning terrorism? A man regarded as a moderate within Britain's Muslim community.
A frequent visitor to America on lecture tours, in September 2004, Yusuf was actually on his way to meet Dolly Parton when he was led away by the CIA and held overnight before being returned to Britain.
When they wouldn't let you into the US, given what you'd been doing, the sense that you were not a man of peace, that you could be a threat, how did that feel?
Like I was reading a script where I was the star and I didn't even know what the plot was and how it was going to end. Perhaps it was about the fact that my name happens to carry, my religion with it, so we have Islam, so hey,
I knew that they were wrong about him. I knew that heart and I knew that soul and I knew that mind and I felt it. And I felt like somebody needed to say something, in his defense. And like I said, I was not going against the government or anything. I just knew they'd made a mistake. And even when they realized they had made a mistake, they still didn't make a public apology. And I gave them a rash about that. Now, in light of the fact that I've got this visa to go back anytime I want, we ask ourselves, well, what was it all about? In the heightened tensions of the world at the moment, you can understand people taking precautions, but this was obviously ridiculous. I can't begin to imagine that there's an evil bone in that man's body. Those are the people that you're supposed to cherish. You don't walk on the hearts of angels.
Ironically, a matter of weeks after his deportation from the US, Yusuf was given the European Man of Peace Award, an accolade selected by all the Nobel laureates and presented to him by Mikhail Gorbachev. Yusuf Islam now spends part of his time in Dubai, in the Gulf of Arabia, a country where Western materialism lives side by side with Islamic tradition.
So I asked myself, how did you finally reconcile yourself with your own music and with the instrument that, after all, you'd forsaken for 25 years?
We were living here, actually having a holiday with the family, and my son brought a guitar back into the house, and there it was. One morning after everybody prayed and gone back to sleep, I kind of picked up the guitar.
It was just lying there.
Yeah, it was just lying, on the couch. And I picked up the guitar, and lo and behold, I still remember the chords. And I'm not sure if I can do this, but let's see. So on and on I go. The seconds tick the time out. There's so much left to know, and I'm on the road to find out. Yes, the answer lies within. So why not take a look now? Kick out the devil's sin. Pick up a good look now.
After all those years of resistance, you've now picked up the guitar again. Do you think you allowed yourself to sort of, take a position which you didn't feel this literalism about Islam, which a lot of people find difficult to accept? Some people might say, well, to that extent you've been brainwashed, perhaps.
The positions that I took previously, I held fast to them because I believed they were true. However, one only has to look at history, not long ago, when we discover, guess what? The guitar was probably introduced to Europe through Spain by the Muslims. Now I'm saying, hang on, what? And that's the reality. When I learned something better, I moved. And that's what you've got to do. I think we must not, ever take the position that we know it all. God may show you something that you never knew yesterday. We've got to be ready for that.
Not only has he returned to music, he's actually begun recording a new album as Yusuf Islam, his first since 1978.
I have dreamt of a place and time where nobody gets annoyed. But I must admit, I'm not there yet, but something's keeping me going. Maybe there's a world that I'm still to find. Maybe there's a world that I'm still